Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to the fourth video, or welcome back to the final BronyCon day video. There's still one more video to go, which is detailing which is detailing my final day in Baltimore on Monday. But this is the final BronyCon video here, and this was day 4 on Sunday. So uh, Sunday morning started out interesting. My phone, I set my phone to get narrator and myself up at 8. However, for some reason, whenever I set it to get us up at 8 a.m., my phone for some reason set itself for 8 a.m. on Sunday a week later. And so I woke up at like 8:45, at like 15. I woke up at like 8:40, 8:45, and I remember waking up and seeing the sun peeking. It was a bit bright in the room. The sun was kind of peeking around the curtain, and I remember just waking up and thinking, wondering what time it was. And I remember I got up and walked over to the bed, or walked over to the dresser, and I looked at my phone and saw what time it was, and immediately I'm like, what the heck? What the crap happened? So I looked and saw that for some reason my phone had set itself. Whenever I set my phone, it was set for like a week later. So I didn't want to just like start waking narrator up. So what I did was uh, I then started trying to figure out what I should do. Like, should I wake him up, or should I just set the clock uh, to like for literally 1 minute later? And I think I just basically looked at the clock and said, "Oh crap!" That's whenever narrator woke up, and he asked me what time it was, and I was like, 8:45. We kind of overslept." And I explained explained what happened to my phone. The first panel on Sunday, let me get down to it. I have to get down to it. The first panel was at 10 a.m. and uh, so it was 8:45, and so that gave us literally an hour and 15 minutes to. Oops, sorry. That gave us like an hour and 15 minutes to actually try to, you know, uh, like to take a shower, to get something to eat, and then get in line at the convention. I remember I told narrator, he went ahead, took a shower, and I still had to take a shower, and I also wanted to get something to eat as well. So I knew it was my fault that my phone had, like, I didn't double check my phone, so I knew it was my fault that we overslept 45 minutes. So I told narrator for him to go ahead and go on, and I would catch up with him at the convention. After he took a shower and got ready and left, I remember I went ahead, I took a shower real quick, and then I made my way. I got ready, and this was a shirt that I wore on the final day of BronyCon, and I wore this one because it has all of the characters. Luna Celestia has all of the main 6. It also has Cadence, Spike, uh, and it also has Starlight and Trixie. I wore that one because, to me, that right there shirt, like the one that I wore on Friday, this shirt was a really big symbol of friendship and a symbol for how far the show had come. And to me, it was also kind of, and so I thought it was appropriate to wear that shirt for the final day of BronyCon. So I remember putting on that shirt, and I remember getting my gear, uh, unplugging the batteries, and I remember I was in the hotel room by myself at this point. Of course, I walked onto the convention center, and I don't remember if I got something to eat then or if I decided to wait until after the first panel. I don't remember which one that I did. I remember I went ahead, and I do remember whenever I ate, I got another breakfast sandwich and another brownie, and I remember I remember I sat down at uh, the table at the Market Fresh Cafe, and I ate. And then as soon as I finished eating, I think that was after or before, I don't remember which, but I remember the first panel that I went to was the Ponies Court at 10 a.m. and narrator went to, I believe it was My Little Family Feud. We did not get to go to the Showstoppers talent show. We didn't get to go to that. I think at that point at 11 a.m. Sorry, at 12:30, I think narrator might have went on to the Bonnie Zackerly Stories and Experiences panel. I think he might have went on to that one. Um, and I think that was the point that I took the opportunity to go back inside the of the marketplace and do some last day shopping. Um, because the next, yes, it was indeed, because from 11 o'clock, and I remember after the Ponies Court, the people that played as the characters did like a little photo op session outside, um, near right at the Market Fresh Cafe. And I remember I got in the line to get some pictures of them. And I remember uh, while I was coming out to get in line for that, I remember going by somebody else that knew me from YouTube, and they were standing in line to go to. They were standing in line for one of the other panels at 11:15, and I don't remember which panel it was that they were going to, but I told them. Uh, they said hi. I said hi to them, and I remember I said, "Be right back." And I went over and I got in line. I got some pictures of the people that I got a picture of the cast that did the Ponies Court. I didn't want to I didn't want to get a picture of myself in it. I just wanted to get a picture of them. And so I remember once I got that picture of them, I went back over and found the person that knew me, and I started talking to them a little bit. And I didn't stand there talking very long because I wasn't in line, and I was standing there talking to somebody that was in line, and so I was kind of afraid to just stand there, afraid that I was blocking the way or something like that. So we got to talk for a few minutes, and then I went ahead and let them go on into their panel, and then at that point that's whenever the next panel that I wanted to get to go to was them's writing words, how to improve your fanfic writing, and that one was the one that I wanted to get to go to, and that one wasn't until 1:45, and at this point it was 11 a.m. So I knew I had like an hour basically, uh, to walk around in the marketplace, do a little bit of last day shopping, and then get in line for the next panel, for that panel. And I remember going back inside of the marketplace, and I figured that, the marketplace, since it was the final day, they might would have had slightly cheaper prices, possibly, since they were trying to sell out, the last stock that they had. I don't know if the prices were any cheaper or not, but I remember walking by this booth that had this wall stood up that had T-shirts on it, and it was basically a pony box, and you could get a T-shirt, some prints, and some other little goodies. And so I bought one of those uh, that had I think it had the uh, Digipon 3 and Little Pip, I believe, yeah. And so I got that, and then I believe I bought one more shirt, and then I think that was the day that I bought the BronyCon Sunset T-shirt. The BronyCon, I think that was the day that I bought the BronyCon Sunset T-shirt, and then I remember walking around in the vendor hall, just looking to see if there was any last day things that that I wanted to get, and that might have been whenever I also took the opportunity to get something to eat as well. And I remember coming out of the vendor hall, and I walked up to the. I remember I still had my stuff with me, and I remember I walked up to the third level, near the Market Fresh Cafe, and I remember sitting down in one of the chairs there, and I remember pulling out. I remember I pulled out my book and my pamphlet here, or event schedule, and I started looking over it, going over the different things in it, and I remember a guy and a woman sat down in the two chairs in front of me, and I remember uh, they were saying something about one of the events I think that they wanted to go to next, and the guy started searching for his schedule, and uh, I noticed after a few seconds he wasn't seeming to find it, so I remember which I actually left mine right over here. I remember I went ahead and I got mine and held it out to him. He borrowed it for he borrowed it for a moment. Found out what they found out what they were going to go to, and then he handed it back to me. Uh, he he said thanks. I told him no problem, and I remember then um, getting in line for keep losing that. I remember then getting in line for them's rotten words. And I remember sitting in line. I don't remember if it was for that one, but I remember sitting in line at one point, getting in line at one point, and for one of the events, I don't remember if it was on Sunday or if it was on Saturday, but I remember getting in line for one of the events and just standing there in line, and the cap ended literally right behind me. Like literally, I was the last person. There was still some other people behind me, and they told them that they had reached, some of the security or staff came up and said that they reached their level cap, and literally I was the caboose. I was the one right behind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was close. And so I remember like Sunday, I think it was Saturday night for one of the other panels. I think it was the writing panel on Saturday night. Yeah, it was. I remember sitting outside, waiting for the panel that was going on to finish, so they could start letting people in for the next one. And I remember just sitting in the floor, and I remember it was nighttime, and sitting in the floor, and I was like, there was two guys, one sitting on each side, one sitting on each side of me, and I remember us talking about the show, and talking about different episodes, and kind of giving our personal thoughts on the goings on in different episodes. Um, it was very, very interesting. And I remember then like everybody started standing up, and us standing there waiting to get inside the panel. And then on Sunday, going back to Sunday, I remember getting to the final panel, which was them's writing words. And I remember going to that and sitting there in that final panel, and it was by that point it was 3 p.m. and no, sorry, it was 1:45, and I remember thinking to myself, the closing ceremony is at 4 o'clock, and the whole thing, everything is just almost over. And it was at that point, I was still happy to be there, but I could feel that sadness, that depression kind of seeping in. And as soon as the as soon as them's writing words was over at 2:45, I decided I was going to go ahead and go and get in line for the closing ceremony, and that was hilarious. I came out of the hall and got down the stairs, got down the escalator, and I remember I went ahead. I remember on Sunday, since it was the final day, I remember I went over to there was a booth next to Nathan's um, that sold smoothies and slushies, and so I got a blueberry slushie. Oh, it was good. Oh, first blueberry slushie I've had in my life, and the only one I've had since, and oh, it was good. And I remember getting in line. That was earlier that day, though. I remember. I remember actually at one point. This was on Saturday. I just remember this. This was on Saturday. I remember I had like a smaller little not a fanny pack, but a smaller uh, vinyl cooler, like a little squishy cooler that was supposed to be able to keep stuff cold. And I remember I put like a bottle of Gatorade and a couple of bottles of water in that. And I remember I tried to wear it. Mm-mm, nope. It was already bad enough that I had this backpack on my back, but then whenever I clipped that onto the back of it, it just was too much stuff sticking out. And I didn't like how whenever I would turn, how I would feel it kind of going side to side. So I made the decision, I'm done with this, forget it. So I put one of the bottles of Gatorade and one of the bottles of water into the side pouches of my backpack. I got another one out to start drinking it. And I remember I got the that little pouch, that little cooler out, squished it back flat, and stuffed it inside of my backpack. And I remember whenever I got the smoothie or the slushy, uh, or the frosty, I remember uh, going up to the third level and going close to where the sky bridge was, the entrance to the sky bridge, but it was close to the entrance doors on that side. And I remember there was like an open area there. There was nobody there, and so I just walked over and sat on this little bench while I sipped on that slushy. And I remember getting brain freeze. I took like a few sips, and I remember getting brain freeze. And that's whenever I started going through that little. That's whenever I put that little cooler back in my backpack. And I thought, okay, well, I can't use that. But I remember sitting there, and then I remember walking by all the other people that were sitting there on the third level, people that like had games that they were playing, people that had their phones, and people just they're hanging out, talking, and everything. And um, then I remember whenever I started to the closing ceremony, I remember coming down the stairs, the escalator, and seeing the line. I remember seeing like a line of people that went around up the steps back to the Charles Street lobby entrance and kind of stopped on the opposite side. And I remember thinking, oh no, please do not tell me that is the line for the closing ceremony. And I remember walking up to somebody and asking, where's the line for the closing ceremony? And they just turned around and pointed at the line. And I just turned and said, oh boy. All right, thanks. And so I walked all the way back. Literally, it was on the stairs on the opposite side. And I remember getting there and just getting in line there. And as I'm standing there, like suddenly more and more people start backing up. And it was like it rounded all the way like over and under and like under the escalator or something. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like is everybody trying to get to the closing ceremony? They won't have enough people. I mean, like they won't have enough room in there. Like they'll reach their cap in no time. And I'm thinking, oh come on, can't you just please let everybody in just for the closing ceremony? You know, just this once. Ignore the fire cap. You know, we ignore the fire code limit. And I remember uh, we got up to the front of the lobby area, up the stairs, or where the doors were, and there was this girl that in a kind of a costume. She was standing there holding like a little um, straw bowl that had candy in it, and I remember getting one as I walked by. I never ate it though, but I remember just getting one, and then we kept standing in line, and people started making jokes about Line Con, and like that's whenever I really started hearing about the Line Con deal, and I remember like somebody walked by and they had a sign that said Line Con 2019, and it was funny. I mean, it was hilarious, but I remember we started getting into Hall A, and they still had the auction. They still had the auction going on in Hall B at that point. And the thing was, uh, what actually happened was with every other panel, they would literally, like, you would have to leave and then get back in line to get back in. This time, for the closing ceremony, they basically just, instead of doing that, they just let the people that were already there go ahead and sit. And so I remember during the closing ceremony, we're standing there in Hall A, and I'm talking to like a couple, like two or three different other guys, and narrator at that point, he had come out of his panel, and he said that he was outside of Hall A. He said he couldn't even get in because of the line of people. He said he couldn't even get in. And so I'm standing there in Hall A, and I remember, like, we're looking around and we start seeing these bubbles floating around on, like, floating around in the air. And then I remember uh, they started setting up these projector screens, uh, these screens in front, like on all four corners of the room, and they started setting up these chairs in front of these screens. And so I remember they started showing the auction, and I remember watching the auction, and it was kind of funny because like the guys, the other couple of guys that I was talking to there, we were kind of we weren't exactly making our own bets, but we were guessing at how much that each of the items was going to end up going for. And it was fun for that. And then I remember we kept standing there, and then the auction ended. And then uh, suddenly we see these people, uh, the staff members start like galloping by with signs that said, "This is the end of the line." And we were just kind of wondering, what do you mean this is the end of the line? There's more out there. And I remember, like, I had my camera going, and I remember I had my camera like as high as it would go, turning around and seeing just everybody. I think like all 10,200 some people that were there was just all there together. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And I remember find somebody I don't remember, but somebody, the guy in front of me said something like he heard somebody say grab some seats. And suddenly it was like just a Black Friday sale. Everybody turned at the seats that they had set up, and they just went for it. It was like a stampede. People just bolted for those chairs. And meanwhile, I don't want a chair. I have my tripod and my camera, and I'm thinking, I'll just stand. You take the chairs. But meanwhile, I pick up my tripod and I start making my way over, trying not to drop my camera, trying not to bump into anybody. And I prop myself up in like at the back of the chairs in front of the screen so that I could capture it. And so it was there that I was kind of able to capture most of the ending ceremony on that black screen. Um, Unfortunately, I missed the slideshow that they did because I didn't have. I thought I had record going at that point, but I didn't. Thank God it is on YouTube, and thank God other people, like the ending ceremony as a whole is up on YouTube as well. But I remember showing like the winner. Like I remember the winner of the talent show Showstoppers competition was Dancing Chris, and I remember seeing him get up and dance. Oh my gosh, I can see why he won. I mean, he was just amazing to watch him. And it was just, I mean, you could tell that like his moves were highly inspired by Michael Jackson, but oh my gosh, his dancing was amazing. And I was glad that the guy won. I was so glad whenever they announced that he won. I was thrilled for him, and it was just so much fun. And then they started doing the slideshow, and they started playing Prince whatever's Solidarity. And while they were playing the slideshow from other BronyCons, including this one. And I remember standing there, and whenever it would get to the point in the song where you would be like, I remember just standing there and doing that myself. And um, then I remember after that was over, and they started playing the ending credits going up the screen, and it made it feel like a movie of sorts. Like the movie was over. Like BronyCon and such, and here was the ending credits, and for everybody that had contributed over the years. And I remember I'm still standing there watching the ending credits, and with my camera going, and I remember like looking around, and already, whenever the ending credits started, already there were people walking out of Hall A, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, come on! Why are you leaving? Like, there's still the ending credits." If there's one thing that I've learned from movies is you never go anywhere during the ending credits. You stay right there, because there are some movies that have some after credits, some post credit scenes. And so I never leave until after the credits have done, and I know there is no post credit scenes. So I remember I'm just standing there waiting for the credits, and I don't want to go anywhere anyway. I want to stay and see everything that there is to see before it's all over. And I remember just looking around and seeing everybody just standing there, the people that were still in there. And I remember turning and seeing people, still crying and hugging, and like I remember kind of thinking to myself, "No, don't break down yet. Don't break down yet. Just hold it together a little longer." And I remember seeing that up on screen. Then after the credits, I remember seeing "Thank you" appear on the screen. And I remember I stood there for a bit, waiting to see if the screen would go dark, or see if it would change. And I remember just feeling like I didn't want to leave. I remember, I just didn't want to leave. And having experienced the last bit of Brony Palooza, and seeing everybody there, and seeing everybody just smiling, laughing, and dancing, and then being there at that last, during the closing ceremony, and hearing them, seeing them up on stage, Hoofbeats, Blank Canvas, Main Event, seeing them all sharing hugs, and sharing tears, and then the people in the audience, you know, it, I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to go anywhere. I'm feeling myself tear up right now thinking about it. Um, I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted to stay. And I remember, uh, I made sure, I stood there for several seconds, for like 10 or 12 seconds after it showed "thank you" up on the screen, to make sure there was nothing more. And so at that point, I went ahead, I turned my camera off, and I started putting everything to get, back up. And um, it was really just me and two other guys that were still in there. I think like it was just us. We were the last three people in Hall A. And I remember as I'm putting my camera together, one of the staff members and one of the security guards came over, and um, made a mention that we needed to go ahead and clear out. And so I remember putting my camera back in its putting my camera back in its backpack, and um, putting my tripod back in its case, back in its sleeve. And I remember also on Sunday running into Swirl Dip again in line in, I think it was whenever we were trying to get in line for closing ceremonies. I remember running into Swirl Dip one more time, and unfortunately, like, we just got to, like, wave and say hi to one another, and that was the last time, unfortunately, we got to speak. But again, Swirl Dip, if you happen to see this, I would love to be able to hang out again, dude. I would love to be able to. Um, but I remember we got to the entryway into Hall A, and I remember myself and these two other guys, like, we didn't know, like, they might have known one another, but I didn't know them. They didn't know me, but, you know, still we were, but still we felt connected. You know, we might not have known one another, but we still felt connected. And that's the thing that that's one of the things I absolutely love about fandoms, not just the Brony fandom, but it's all fandoms in general, is even if you don't know one another personally, there's still that connection. You know, you still you just get one another. You understand one another. And there was still that connection. I didn't know these guys, but there was still that connection that I felt. And I remember we decided we were going to take one last picture. Like, we looked around and realized we were the last three people inside of Hall A. And so we decided we were going to get a picture. And so we took one last photo, and to because we were the last three people, the last three attendees to walk out of Hall A. And to be honest, I feel it's kind of bittersweet, but I also feel happy about that. You know, that I was the last one to walk out of Hall A during the last BronyCon. And I remember after getting the picture, we walked out into the lobby area and um, the lower level of the lobby. And I remember somebody had like a little tiny last minute little booth set up, and they were selling some last things out of like out of the marketplace. And I remember seeing a box that had a few more copies, a few more issues. Or sorry, a few more copies of the hardback version of Fallout Equestria. And in the marketplace, I think the book was $100. I think the book was $100, and I think here it was like 75 or something. It was like $25 less or something. And I first went back and forth with my mind. I thought about buying a second copy of it, and then I decided not to. Then I thought about buying it again. Then I just decided not to. For a year I've regretted that. Um, not getting that other copy, but I was able to rectify that because this copy that I actually have of this right here, uh, I was actually able to get a second copy of this book because it took several months. It was probably back in April. I think it was like back in May. I think it was back this May. Um, I happened to check on eBay, and somebody had about 5 of these listed for sale, these very copies, and they were selling them. They said that they were selling them because they had, I think, bought. They were selling them because I think they had bought them for a few friends. Um, but he had picked them up. They had picked them up at BronyCon 2019, but they were just selling them, and I think they were the same price that I paid for them at BronyCon. So ultimately, I end up paying the same price for it, but that's okay. But thank God I was able to get a second copy. So I have two copies. One that I'm keeping, and this one right here is to read, and both came from BronyCon 2019. And so I remember um, seeing that and walking out of the Charles Street lobby back outside, and I remember. Oh, also, I forgot one of the days. I just remember this. One of the other days, I think it was on Saturday. Um, I think it was on Saturday. Narrator and myself, yeah, that was on Saturday, I believe. We left. There was like 2 hours or so before the next event that we want, the next panel. And so I remember we left the convention center and we walked down a different street and we went to Chick-fil-A. And this was on Saturday. I forgot about this. But I remember we got to Chick-fil-A, and it was my first time. Like, I've never ate at Chick-fil-A in my life until this day. And I remember that Chick-fil-A, it was kind of crowded. It was kind of crowded. Um, but uh, I remember I got a chicken sandwich and uh, like a rolled up salad thing. I forgot what it was called, but it was like a little rolled up. It was like almost like a snack wrap from McDonald's almost. And I remember I ate, I think, half of that, but it was felt kind of dry, and so I didn't finish it. But I remember we finished eating there, and we walked back up to the convention center. And I remember as we were walking down, we happened by the Inner Harbor area, and I managed to get a couple of pictures of the Inner Harbor. And I saw this ship setting over by this pier, and we never got to go over and check that out. But it was still beautiful to see the Inner Harbor. And I remember I remember I remember narrator and myself, we kind of started a bit kind of talking about accents because we're both from the South. And we kind of started talking about that. And I remember like asking him about my accent, how thick my accent was, and he said it was a light Southern accent. And I told him I was glad for that. It's it's not really heavy. It's not really thick. Um, but I remember us talking about that, and then that we made our way back up to the convention center, and that was on Saturday. On Sunday, after we left the convention center, now the thing was, the auction that they had, the ending, the closing ceremonies was supposed to happen at 4, but the auction went on past that. I think it was more closer to 4:30 before the actual. I think it was closer to 4:30 before the closing ceremony actually started, and so it was probably about 5:30 before everybody got out of there, or more about closer to 6 o'clock, I'd say. And I remember it was already the sun was starting to set whenever we came out of the convention center. And I remember narrator and myself, we walked. I remember we made our way first back to the hotel. I don't remember if we made our way back to the hotel first to put the bags and everything that we had, like in my camera and tripod back in the hotel before we went to get something to eat, or if we just went ahead and went on to get it. I keep thinking we might have went back to the hotel. I'm not completely sure on that though. But I remember we decided to get something to eat at Shake Shack. And one thing I have to toss in, I remember in the final day on Sunday morning, whenever we ate at Royal Farms, we got our food. I remember the woman at the register, that made the third time that she had seen us. And I remember she smiled and asked me where I was from because she could tell from my accent that I wasn't from Baltimore. And I told her I was from Virginia. And she said that she had visited here once and she loved it. She said she loved seeing the mountains and all the green and the scenery, and she said she loved it and she would love to get to come back. And I don't know her name, but I really hope that I really hope that she did. I really hope that she did get to come back and visit. I hope she continues to get to do so. And it's just something that kind of sticks out for me, and it's just one of those things about it. It just that's something I haven't forgotten either. And I remember we got to after we left the convention center, we decided to eat at Shake Shack. And I remember we walked down to Shake Shack, and we got our food, and I remember sitting there waiting on our food. I remember they gave us a buzzer. They gave us a buzzer and told us that it would buzz or a light would flash whenever we would get our food. Never seen anything like that before in my life. No restaurant near me has anything like that. No restaurant near me has anything like that. At least not that I'm aware of. And I remember we sat there, we waited a little bit, and I remember picking my device up and thinking, what if the batteries are dead in this thing? And like they've already tried to beep us or buzz us, and it just doesn't work. And one of the people that worked there came over and asked if we had got our if we needed anything, if we had gotten our food, and we said we didn't need anything, but our food wasn't ready yet. And they went ahead, they took the buzzer, and then they brought us our food. And I remember as we were sitting there, a couple of kids came in that were selling cookies for school. And I remember they walked up to the table that narrator and I were sitting at, and they one of them asked about us buying some cookies off of them, and they showed us what kind of cookies that they were, and I think they were more of the like crunchy style cookies. And I'm not a fan of crunchy cookies. I like the soft, moist cookies, the melt in your mouth cookies. I'm not into the really tough cookies. So I told him that I would pass on the cookies, but narrator, I remember, decided that he would buy a few boxes of them. I remember him saying that it would give him something to snack on his way back home. Something for the road. So I remember he bought a few boxes. The kid took off, or the kid disappeared, came back with a few boxes of cookies, and narrator bought. He paid for the cookies, and then somebody from Shake Shack brought us our food. And I remember just kind of being impressed, really impressed with the bag for how the bag was designed, because the bag itself, it had the handle, but there was a cardboard tray down in the bottom of the bag, which meant that the bag would not bend or break in the bottom, and your food was basically level. It wasn't getting jumbled up or anything. And I remember I got a burger, something else, and a vanilla milkshake. And I remember we started, and a soda. The milkshake was my dessert, I believe. And I remember we started walking back up from Shake Shack, and I remember making the remark to narrator that I wanted to get some pictures, last few pictures of the convention center. And I felt bad because he wanted to go ahead and go on to the hotel and eat before his food got cold. And what kind of slipped both of our minds was the fact I never thought about it until like a week after I got back home. Then I remembered there was a microwave in the lobby of the hotel that we walked by every single day. We never remembered it. We could have used it, but we never remembered it. Um, but I remember um, he sat down and waited for me to, which again, narrator, thank you. I really appreciate your patience. I know I was a bother on that, but thank you again so much for having the patience to wait on me to to get those pictures. Thank you so much. I apologize, but again, thank you so much. But I am really glad that I was able to get the pictures, and I got a picture of the convention center at sunset, and then I got some pictures of the signs on the street lamps, and then we made our way back up to the hotel, and we ate, and then we each took a shower, and then we turned in for the night, for the evening, because there was there was nothing else really to do. You couldn't go back to the convention center, and there was just nothing else really to do. So considering lack of sleep that prior night, where I myself I partied at Brony Palooza, until like 2:30, till they shut everything down about a little like 2:30, and so we decided to just go ahead and turn in early. And I remember I remember whenever the lights went off and my head hit the pillow, um, just laying there in the bed, and I remember thinking to myself, this is my last night. I remember thinking to myself, this is my last night in Baltimore, in Baltimore, and this is my last time that I'm going to be sleeping in this bed. And already I missed everything. I missed it. I missed the convention center. I missed the excitement. I missed the people. I missed it all. And I just, I didn't want it to end. I just wanted to keep lasting. And I remember just laying there and, kind of thinking to myself, if I stay up, it'll make the night last longer, but I knew I needed the rest. And I thought, whenever I wake up, it's going to be the next morning. And it's going to be the day to go home. And I didn't want to, but I remember I was still glad. I was very thankful and still very thankful that I got to experience the final BronyCon, and a lot of great memories with it. A lot of great memories. And I remember, I don't remember what time it was whenever I went to sleep, but that was uh that was the final. I remember while narrator and I ate, we ended up talking about the panels that we had got to go to each of the panels that we went to each of the panels that we went to separately. I remember us talking about that while we ate, and I remember one other thing I do remember was the Ponies Court one was really fun, and I remember um, by that point, by that point, I think I had heard that, like, I knew other episodes had been leaked, I think by that point, and some other people had watched them, but I wasn't watching the leaks. I was waiting until the episodes aired traditionally. And it was just kind of funny because, they did that, the Ponies Court, and they ended up asking at the end if Cozy Glow should, if she kind of deserved, if she deserved a pardon or if she was guilty. And I remember just the majority of the people in the room were just like guilty, and it was just it was really hilarious. But that was the final day of BronyCon 2019. That was the final day, and it's still very fond to think about. It's bittersweet to think about that final day, but it's still something that I treasure, that I cherish. So that was the final day of BronyCon 2019, and the next video will be our little exploits, narrators, and myself's little exploits before we ended up heading back home on Monday morning. But thanks again for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I will talk to you. Hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.